Hey disc golfers, welcome to the first video at Oklahyzer Disc Golf Channel. My name's Nathan Cameron, PDGA number 114441, and I'd like to show you what's in my bag. So let's start off with the drivers. I'm going to start down here at the end. I bagged 3 forces. I got my most stable force. It's just a regular Z run. It's pretty flat, and it's the one I can rely on to just fade super fast. Next, we're going to move on to my medium stability one. You may recognize this one. My buddy Will Go-Ringer, sorry man, hooked this up for me. It's this pink glow force. This thing is amazing. It really bombs. And then for my least stable force, I got this old ESP. It's probably like a 168. It's pretty flippy for a force, but it's also super reliable. So this is my maximum distance disc if I need that, super bomb with a little bit of a fade at the end. Next, we're gonna go on to my nukes. I bagged 2 nukes. I got one of these GMC nukes, another big bomber. It's about max weight. I've actually lost this one for like 2 months, and then I found it still sitting in the same tree. So if you look, it's actually a darker color on the top than it is the bottom, but it's kind of hard to tell since I dyed it. Next is my super flippy one. This is a Z plastic, but it's like 168, super beat up, super flat. I can just throw this thing out and it's going to turn for days. Next in the bag, we have cranks. I bagged 2 cranks. This one is just my regular Z run. It's probably my oldest disc in my bag right now. I've had it for almost 2 years now, and it's gotten to a point where it's just a really reliable, understable driver. It's maybe just a little bit more stable than a heat, and I like it a lot. If I need that, heat flight, but there's a little bit of wind, I'm going to be throwing this. Next, I have a 2015 Ti crank. This one is so stable. It's about as stable as a force, and you can really rip this into like a 30-mile-an-hour headwind, and that's when you're finally going to get the little bit of flip up that you're expecting out of a crank. But this is another one I got from my buddy Will. He hooked it up. This is how I met him, actually, was buying this disc from him. Next, I have my Heat, which, is technically a fairway driver, but I treat it like a distance driver. I can really bomb on this thing. Get it, almost as far as some of my legit distance drivers. So this is, my turnover disc, or, if I just need that tailwind disc, it's there for me. It's really shown for me. It's a Am Worlds disc from 2016. I actually got out of the used bin at D-Mart. Next, you may recognize this signature here. I picked this one up from Tim on Facebook. You don't see very many pulses, but I gotta say, they are the ultimate forehand disc. That thumb track just fits in perfect. It's just like a longer, Predator or something. It's pretty stable, but it just goes so much further before it starts to fade. Now you're going to move into fairway drivers. I have a Raptor I've been working with, one of these ESP Glow Raptors. I picked it up from Will again. I mean, Will's my boy. He hooks me up with all my discs. What can I say? He got me this sweet ESP Glow Raptor, even dyed it pink for me. And this thing is amazing. If you guys haven't had a chance to throw one of these yet, it's probably going to be my new go-to with the forehand disc. I mean, this thing is just incredible forehand. I can't say enough good things about it. Next, I have 2 Undertakers. I have a Big Z Undertaker. This one is the one I use for my more stable Undertaker. It's just going to go dead straight and then always have that reliable fade. And if I need something a little flippier, I got this Z Undertaker that I got from my buddy Lance. He's with Iron Leaf, and he's really a big Discraft nut, just like me. There's only a couple of us out here in Oklahoma, so, we got to stick together. But Lance hooked me up with this. Super beat in, but it's just perfect for those, understable fairway shots. I think it's probably my flippiest fairway driver, and it does everything I needed to do in an understable fairway driver. Next, in the bag is a utility disc. It's a Tracker 3.5. This thing came out board flat. It's probably the most stable disc I've ever thrown in my life. I mean, as soon as you rip on it, it's going to be fading right out of your hands. They made these for 2015 Ledgestone, I believe. They're Crystal Sparkle Flex, something like that, but they're super flexible and they are super stable. I mean, this thing is so stable, if you throw it on a forehand roller, it's going to keep a hyzer line on the ground. It never flips onto its lid. It's amazing. Next, probably my most used disc in my entire bag is a Vulture. These are, I can't say enough good things about these. This is the only disc I have ever had in my entire life where I feel equally comfortable ripping on a backhand, but also on a forehand. I mean, this one sees just as many backhands as it does forehands, and that may not be a big deal for you, but for me, that's huge. So, ESP Vulture, get you one. They're incredible. Next, my Buzz, the only mid-range I bag. Well, no, not the only mid-range I bag, but my Buzz is my most used mid-range. I mean, if I am going for a one-disc round, I'm going to reach for this Buzz every time. It's pretty beat in at this point. It's a 2018 Ledgestone Honeybee, and these things just came out dead straight. I love them. They, you know, I can put it on an Annie line, and it just holds it perfectly, and I can also hyzer them, but, you know, dead straight and shooting tunnels is what I use it for the most. Next, for my mid-ranges, I have this Crystal Flex drone. I got this from my buddy Isaiah out here in Oklahoma City as well. He hooked it up, bagged it for a while, decided it wasn't quite for him, and now I got it in my bag, and I gotta say, I love this thing. If you are just needing a super stable but short throw, this is where it's at. If the zone is just gonna be a little too short for you, step it up to the drone and you can really rip on these things. And being that flex plastic, it's just gonna stick. It's not really gonna be skipping around, but I'm sure you all know that. Next, we're gonna move on to my throwing putters. I currently have 4 throwing putters in the bag. I'm gonna start off with my ESP Banger GT. These came out just for a limited re-release, and man, I love them. This is probably my most used upshot disc if I need that straight to reliable fade on my upshot. I mean, the thumb track just takes so much guesswork out of your grip work. You just grab it and it's like you're holding it exactly the way you need to hold it every single time. Just throw it up, reliable fade, but you can also get some pretty straight distance out of it too. Next, I have this old beat up roach. I got this one from Lance as well. You know, this is actually how I found roaches. I found this disc in the woods and I came to rely on it so quickly. I called the guy on the back. He's like, man, just keep it. It's totally fine. That's how I met Lance, and that's how he got me to switch to roaches. This quickly became my main putter. Like, and now this one's so beat up, I just use it like people throw comets. Just need that short, super reliable fade to the right, wrong direction. But throwing off the box, Pro D Roach is pretty awesome. Next, I got my hands on one of these Paul Macbeth. I don't know, you might have heard of him. Paul Macbeth Zones. Yeah, Zone. I can read. And, you know, I really don't mind whose name's on the Zone, but what I really wanted was a Z Zone. I really like the Z plastic in the Zone for the flicks. I use this mostly for flick approach shots. And, you know, if I am going to throw the drone, but I feel like it might go a little too far, I'm going to throw this one, and it's going to come up a little bit shorter. My last throwing putter is going to be the Challenger OS. Yeah, I'm holding that, right? Challenger OS. I have a rubber blend and I have an ESP. I swap back and forth depending on what I'm needing. You know, if I need a little bit more ground play, I'll go ahead and put in the ESP. If I'm wanting it to stick, I'm playing a course with a lot of islands or something, I'll swap to the rubber blend. It's really great off the box. It's not as OS as it sounds, but it's OS enough for a putter. So, you know, if you really need to rip on one, you can put it on a hyzer, but it also has glide for days. So it's a fantastic driving putter. Now, as I mentioned before, my putting putters are the Roach. I bagged 2 of them, both in Pro D, the only discs that aren't pink for some reason. I think it was just I got them on a deal and couldn't pass up new putters. So I bagged 2 of them. You know, I pretty much only use the one and then I just have a backup. As far as other things in my bag, this bag is huge. There's so much storage in it. It is unreal. I have a water bottle. I have this gator because, I mean, I may not be great at disc golf, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty great at putting them in trees and in the water. I also have my keys here. Speaker, if you have a card that wants some music. Me Seeks, he's trying to take some strokes off my game, but it's a pretty big order, so he'll probably be hanging around for quite some time. Got my mini marker, my pencil. Got the sandbag. If you haven't used one of these, you know, they seem kind of overrated, but they're not. They're actually really incredible for powdering up your hands for the perfect grip. This bag is so big not only do I have my little goodie bag here with my ibuprofen and my battery and my charging cables, you know, I got my notebook here. Got my UV flashlight in case it gets dark and I need to light up that glow force. I got an extra pair of socks. I got an entire change of clothes in here, plus a jacket. You may have seen these in a couple of my Instagram videos. Manchester United, what's up? I also have a full-size towel. You know, sometimes you throw it in the water, you got to go swimming for it. And whenever you go swimming for it, it's pretty great to have an entire set of clothes. So that's it. The entire set of clothes is in here. And in case you didn't already notice, kind of a big fan of Discraft. So that was what was in my bag. Let me know if you see anything that I should be bagging or any redundancies that I need to take out of my bag. I'd love to hear from you guys. And I look forward to making a lot more content for you as well. So just keep your eyes posted, like, subscribe, do all that stuff that the other YouTubers say that you need to do, because I'm new here. I don't know how this thing goes. But thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.